Okay, so we are going through now questions that will be on your quiz for chapter 5. Now please note that I do have a test bank, and so you might not get exactly this one, but chances are you're going to get most of them. And what I'd like to do, instead of me answering them all, we're going to talk them through. We're going to go over, let's say, 15 multiple choice, 20 multiple choice, but then what I'd like to do is some problems, because that's really where people can get stuck to, okay? Number 1, or it says number 38, but the first one, for an activity base to be useful in cost analysis behavior, cost behavior analysis, A, the activity should always be stated in dollars. B, there should be a correlation between changes in the level of activity and changes in costs. C, the activity should always be stated in terms of units. Or D, the activity level should be constant over a period of time. So what I'd like to do, I don't want to call on people that don't want to talk, but it would be helpful to have a conversation, because if I don't hear a conversation, I'm going to move on to the next one. In other words, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. But I'm not going to drink for you. Not that you're a horse, you get it. Okay? I'm trying to help you succeed by going over the problems, but I'm not going to answer them for you. Who would like to start this discussion? What have we learned about activities and cost behaviors and the activity base? What have we learned about this? What? Well, why do you think it might be B? It makes the most sense. Since when do we care that every activity needs to just be stated in dollars or units? Haven't we been doing it both ways as we've gone through problems? So, a process of elimination. You know, guys, how I passed the CPA exam, honestly? They taught me how to answer multiple choice. I get too technical. Do you sometimes read too much into it? And truly, I took this Becker course years ago, and they really taught me how not to read too much into it and to eliminate. So if you look at A, the activity should, look at that word always. Also pay attention to these words that are always and never, okay? Because what do? They really limit you as to what the right answer should be. Always have this, it never is that way. I mean, my girls tell me that. You always, da-da-da, you never, you know. But tests that have always and never sometimes give you a warning sign that maybe that's not the right answer. How many of you guys know that little trick? I'm sure you all know it. So the activity should always be stated in dollars? Probably not. The activity should always be stated in terms of units. The activity level should be constant over a period of time. We've talked about nothing about anything being constant in this chapter, have we? So we've got a consensus that the right answer might be there should be a correlation between changes in the level of activity and changes in cost. What's the title of this chapter? Cost, volume, profit. I mean, volume, cost, you know, wow. That kind of is a dead giveaway too. So I'm probably leaning towards B too. What do you think? Let's take number 39. A variable cost is a cost that A, varies per unit at every level of activity, occurs at various times during the year, varies in proportion, in total, in proportion to changes in the level of activity, may or may not be incurred depending on management's discretion. Varies in total proportion to changes in level of activity. What have we heard about variable cost? variable costs vary, don't they? But they vary as it relates to, it's the same amount per unit, but they increase as our units increase, don't they? Do they vary per unit? No. They stay the same at each unit, but they increase as our volume increases. How are you guys doing here? Is it making sense? Okay. What's a cost that remains constant per unit at various levels of activity? Guys, okay, you just jumped at that because you saw the word constant. Shame. Shame, shame. I'm teasing. It's a cost that remains constant per unit. It remains constant per unit at all levels of activity. Guys, fixed costs remain constant, but when we talk about per unit of activity, as we get more units of activity, fixed costs go down per unit of activity, don't they? But do variable costs stay the same per unit no matter what? They do. It's confusing. Variable costs are constant with each unit, but they vary as the number of units go up. Those variable costs are going to increase because if it's $5 per unit, like our example with the barbershop, if we do 100 haircuts, what are our variable costs? 500. If we do 1,000 haircuts, what are our variable costs? 5,000. But are they the same per unit? $5. Okay? So guys, look at the question. A cost which remains constant per unit. It didn't say constant for the month. Okay? Get the difference? Am I drilling it in almost annoyingly? Okay.
I need to hit the whiteboard a couple more times.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. So, two costs. Sorry I'm doing that. I'm annoying you guys. Okay. Two costs at Bradshaw Company appear below for specific months of operation. Delivery costs and utilities. Okay? So two costs here appear for months of operation. In delivery costs, in September, the amount was 40,000. Units produced 40,000. Delivery costs for October were 55. The amount was 55,000. The units produced were 60,000. Then we've got utilities of September at 84,000 for 40,000 units. And then we've got utilities, of 60, the cost of 126,000 for 60,000 units. Which type of costs are these? Are delivery cost and utility costs both variable? Are delivery cost and utilities mixed, both mixed? Are the utility costs mixed and delivery costs variable? Or are the delivery costs mixed and the variable costs are variable? Let's look at delivery costs.
Will you scroll it up?
No, I can't, because the solution is down there.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Can you not see it very well?
No, it's all good.
I'm sorry. I'll just...
You're good.
You probably saw that, didn't you? Did you see the answer?
No.
Honestly? Okay. So which of these is the right answer, guys? What? Okay, let's look at each of these costs. Delivery costs, 40,000, units produced 40,000. So that means $1 per unit produced there. But then look what happens in October, guys. The amount was 55,000, but the units produced were 60,000. Is that really variable per unit? Is it the same amount per unit? No, it's mixed, isn't it? Let's look at utilities. $84,000 for 40,000 units produced. But then in October we have 126,000 for 60,000 units produced. What are those? How much is that? Would that be a unit?
$2.10 per unit for both.
For both? Oh my gosh! You mean it doesn't change? So what would that make utility costs? Variable. But are they the exact same amount per delivery cost per units produced? The first one is $1. The September is $1, and then in October, $55,000 for 60,000 units produced. That's less than $1. So don't we know that needs to be mixed? Does that make sense? It's D. Does it make sense why I can tell that is not variable? Because it's not a constant amount per unit, right? Okay. Oops. Okay, you probably saw that. An increase in the level of activity will have the following effects on unit costs for variable and fixed costs. So the number of units we produce is going to increase. Okay, that's what they're telling us. The number of units that we produce are going to increase. What's going to happen to our unit variable cost? Will it increase with the number of units we produce? Is it the same amount per unit? So as we create more units, is our variable cost going to increase? If we produce 100 units, we have 100 units, and our variable haircuts are at $5 a haircut. So our variable costs here are $500, right? If we do 1,500 haircuts at $5, now our variable costs are $7,500. Did it increase? Well, here it's at 500. It's at 7,500 as a whole, not per unit, as a whole. Did it increase? Mm-hmm. So, do variable costs, an increase in the level of activity will have the following effects on unit costs. Unit variable costs increase. But what happens with unit fixed costs? If we've got a fixed cost of $2,000, no matter what, if we produce 100, if we do 100 haircuts, what is our fixed cost per haircut going to be? The fixed cost is $200 a haircut, right? But if we produce 1,500 haircuts, what is our fixed cost per haircut? It's going to be like $1 something. You know, something less. Okay? So our unit variable costs and unit fixed costs are going to vary based on an increase in the level of activity will have the following effects on unit costs for variable and fixed costs. As our unit variable as far as the unit variable cost, as we increase our activity, we increase our costs. With fixed cost, as we increase our activity, the fixed cost decreases. That's the bottom line. Excuse me, I was going to use a bad word. The overall unit variable cost increase. But what happens with each cost period? The unit cost is constant. I'm giving you that problem since I made such a big deal about it. So the answer is D. Okay? Okay. Fixed costs normally don't include property taxes, direct labor, supervisory salaries, or depreciation on buildings and equipment.
Can I ask you a question about the other one? If you had said effects on total cost, then it would be A?
Yes.
Okay.
And it would be A, but then the fixed costs would remain constant.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean? But the variable cost would have increased.
Okay.
But the fixed cost would have remained constant per unit. I'm sorry, guys. I think I need to go home and go to bed. I got a full day of clients, although I just saw an email that Julie said she might cancel our day. So I'm getting a little excited about that. 44 is B. Who agrees that 44 is B? Do you guys know that direct materials and direct labor will always be variable costs? Right? Right? Okay, now next. The increased use of automation and less use of the workforce in companies has caused a trend towards an increase in both variable and fixed cost and a decrease in variable costs and a decrease in fixed cost, or variable cost and no change in fixed cost. What has happened with our economy going towards automation? Less variable costs and more fixed cost. Don't you agree with that? Fixed costs and a decrease in variable cost. Wouldn't that be the answer? That's what I think the answer would be. So let's move on towards some problems, okay? How about one more? This one. If a firm increases its activity level, costs should remain the same. Most costs will rise. No costs will remain the same. Some costs will change. Others may remain the same. What do you think? 48. What do you think, guys? D? Fixed costs won't change, will they? Will fixed costs change? But will variable costs change? Doesn't that make sense? Okay, let's take one problem. I really want to go over one problem so you kind of understand. If we have not discussed it in class, are we going to have it on the quiz? Do you guys feel like, for the most part, I've been pretty fair on that? Okay. Let me do a problem here. Okay. I'll give you guys some of these multiple choice so you have an understanding of what we'll go through. But let me... Any minute now. There. Okay. Okay. Sandal Company makes two products. They have footballs and they have baseballs. Okay? And we have the number of units, the sales, the variable cost fixed, and the net income, and the profit per unit. Sandal has unlimited demand for both products. Which of these products would Sandal tell his salespeople to emphasize? What do you guys think? Shouldn't we determine what the contribution margin is for each item? And the one with the better contribution margin, shouldn't that be the one that we would want to emphasize? Because, guys, do you hear how the word unlimited demand means he can produce as many as he wants? It's not that they don't have a demand out there, they just have to produce them. Okay? So if they can increase volume of a product, won't that help the contribution margin? So let's look at these. Let's just take a look at this one. Which one should he emphasize? Well, let's talk about that. We've got here, let's look at the contribution margin per unit. Oops, sorry guys. So the contribution margin per unit, we've got $60,000 in sales of footballs. 60,000, and our variable costs are 36,000, right? And if we divide that by 4,000 footballs, what's our contribution margin? $6. Let's look at our baseballs. We've got $25,000 minus our variable costs of $7,000. Divide that by 2,500 baseballs. How much is our contribution margin? $7.2. Guys, think of it this. Our variable cost per unit is lower on baseballs than on footballs. Okay? Therefore, we're going to have a lot more money that gets applied towards our fixed cost. Since there's unlimited demand, that means we can sell all we want of baseballs, right? And we'll have that much more that goes against our fixed assets. Won't we make more money because our variable costs are lower? Do you understand why? When variable costs are higher per unit and you produce more, you're going to still make money. But where you're really going to make money is when the variable costs are smaller per unit, you have a better contribution margin against those fixed costs. And that's where your profits are going to soar. Okay? Think of an airplane. Let's say to break even, because there's fuel, there's the people, they're going to have those fixed costs of running that route if there's 20 people or if there's 100. Okay? There might be a little bit of variable cost, but not much with an airplane. What? Some more peanuts? Okay? But really, the airplane has an X number of seats. if it's occupied or not, you're still going to have the pilot, the gas, maybe a bit more gas, but not much more. Okay? So if they sell 20 seats versus if they sell 100 seats, are they going to make a heck of a lot more money? Oh, yeah. Do you understand the point of the baseball? Make sense? So, as far as making more money, the more you can put against the contribution margin, the better you're going to be. You're going to make more money. Does that make sense? So, guys, what we'll do is I will, any questions you have on Chapter 5, we'll talk about next Tuesday, and then we'll go ahead and start on Chapter 6. You have until Sunday night to complete the quiz, right?
Yes.
I wish you the best of luck, and be safe out here in this weather, okay?